What is happening out there, rotoscouts baseball fans? Welcome to a late starting show, guys and gals. Good to see everybody out there. 4:22, a couple minutes past the scheduled start time. We've got a 6:35 lock today. Everything starts a little bit early for this 10-gamer, so we're a little bit behind schedule. We're going to kind of race our way through this, cover all the usual stuff. We've got time. NHL projections are live on the site. NBA projections are live on the site. So that stuff's taken care of. We can take our time and get through this. We've got, I'm going to try and get it done in like an hour and a half. A little beat the clock session here. Yesterday's 11-gamer took us 2 hours and 45 minutes. We're definitely going to do better than that because that would take us into lock. But we'll play a little beat the clock session. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Cujo's here. Good to see you, buddy. Hope your hump day is going well as well. Dimitri. Everybody else out there, welcome to Wednesday. Less said about last night's slate, the better, I think. We talked A's. They went off like crazy. Some of the pitchers we were on did not go off. Some of the pitchers we were targeting had great games. Tyler Mahle snapped one off. Logan Allen had a good game. Weird slate, weird outcomes last night. Congrats to all the winners out there. You played some garbage and you got rewarded. Interesting slate today, though. We've got some solid pitching options. We've got another couple obvious-looking spots to attack. We've got another Dodgers-Rockies game that's pushing the Dodgers way up the board. Lot to work with here. We've got some really weird prices. Whoever's making the prices at FanDuel is drinking, at least the pitchers. Chris Bubic against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium at 10-2 is your most expensive FanDuel pitcher on a slate that includes Aaron Nola, Bryce Miller, Brandon Pfaadt, Robbie Ray, Gavin Williams. I would have had him like 9th, 10th most expensive guy. That price is absurd to me. I know he started the season well. Come on. We know who Chris Bubic is. Mitchell Parker at 10,000. Yeah, it's a matchup against the Pirates, but come on. 98 for Soriano, I can kind of get behind. I think he's actually pretty good. We got some cheap FanDuel pricing. Bryce Miller in that bandbox in Cincinnati looking great at 8,200, 8,500 on DraftKings is very, very playable. Nola himself for 88 going up against a gettable Giants team. 9,000 on the DraftKings slate, projecting out as the top pitcher on a relatively tight board, at least up at the top. Kind of a faith play in Brandon Pfaadt here. If you follow the model and if you follow the pitcher throughout the last couple of seasons, you should love the spot against the Marlins, 8,600, 8,700. Like the price quite a bit as well. Hasn't been great to start his season, but definitely looking like a strong play today. This one, a little bit both sidesy. Robbie Ray, I don't love at 91 on FanDuel. Would play at 8,000 on DraftKings, though. Lefties have been successful against Philly by and large so far early in this season, but they do have some mashers up top that are showing a ton of power against Robbie Ray, who we've talked about a bunch of times all over the map as far as walks, as far as power allowed throughout his entire career. Kyle Schwarber, the home run pick of the day against Robbie Ray. I'm kind of teeing up the Phillies a little bit. Osvaldo Bido, I think, is super interesting at 8,000, 7,200 going up against that weak White Sox lineup. Easy for me to say. Gavin Williams is very talented, but maybe a little bit shaky against the Orioles. But we did just see Logan Allen succeed against that squad, which was a surprise. Gav is way better than Logan Allen, the right-handed starter for them. 7,200, 8,200. The price is right to at least play a few shares. Soriano, as mentioned, really like the pitcher. Don't love the spot against the Rangers. I think that lineup is got a lot of talent in it. Don't love the price as it compares to a lot of other guys on the board, but would play. The hope there is maybe you get him a little under-owned. Mitchell Parker's had a good start to his year, but that price is way, way up for the talent. I don't love that on FanDuel. 79 on DraftKings, though. Perfectly playable. Dean Kramer against the more gettable version of the Guardians that we've got this year, 61, 65. Projected out okay, and I didn't do anything to change it, but I don't really love that spot. I think I'd rather have Guardians bats against Dean Kramer, but we'll at least give it a look. Bubic, I wasn't going to put my finger on the scale to make this work for Chris Bubic at those prices. I think it's just a middle-of-the-board type spot, kind of like what we're looking at there. Max Meyer is kind of a difficult proposition at 93 on FanDuel. 81 works a lot better. Talented pitcher, but going up against a very good Diamondbacks lineup. I don't really like that spot. They're showing a little bit of power upside. Almost made Corbin Carroll the home run pick of the day. Clark Schmidt in his return, I don't think we're getting enough innings, and you can see the bottom of the board is kind of dead. So we've got a fairly hard cut right around there. I think Littell is at least usable in the right situation against the Red Sox, even in that the way that ballpark is playing, and with the talent in the Red Sox lineup. Down here, I don't think Schmidt's going to see enough innings. I don't like Nick Martinez against the Mariners showing a ton of upside in that Cincinnati park at all. I don't like Jonathan Cannon against the Athletics for the same reasons, showing a ton of upside on the A side. Nuke against the Rays, no thank you. Bailey Falter, Herman Marquez, and the corpse of Patrick Corbin. It's hard-nosed down board. So it's a shorter pitching slate than it might look like. The pricing on FanDuel is really weird, but there's a lot to work with in this group. So it's an interesting slate. A couple of, I'm not going to do the full Vegas breakdown. I know I did this in a different order today, but some highlight spots. The Dodgers, again, standing tall at 5.5 runs. 5+ for the Angels going up against Patrick Corbin there, showing a ton of power. That's a pitcher we've attacked for years now. But you're also getting the 4.5 runs on the other side for the Rangers going up against Soriano. So that's an interesting spot. Like I said, kind of high danger spot for Soriano. I think you can safely both sides that one. The A's are showing a little bit of upside in Vegas at 4.19 implied runs, more upside in the home run model, more upside in the general projections. That lineup is good, and they're about to get a lot better when Kurtz arrives, but a lot of upside there. They obviously went off for crazy runs yesterday. Tyler Soderstrom hit a pair of home runs. We had him as the A's home run pick, but not the overall home run pick of the day. Didn't want to get greedy on that one, and I could have ended up hitting it too. Yanks drawing a 4.37 against Chris Bubic. Again, that's part of why I'm really skeptical about Bubic at that price. Rays and the Red Sox both drawing high totals. 4.85 on the Rays side kind of stands out, though. They just project into the middle of the board with the lineup that they're putting up against Sean Newcomb, the lefty, but he is decidedly mediocre. That's a really healthy total, good hitting environment. So kind of interested in the Rays, the 4.35 on the Phillies with all the power they're showing. And then both sides of that game in Cincinnati are kind of interesting to me. I just like a lot of those players in the Reds for DFS purposes. That Mariners lineup is one that we attack a lot with pitchers, but not with Nick Martinez and not in this ballpark when they're drawing a 4.76 implied total is one of the highest projected teams on the board. And then the D-backs at the Marlins, I think, again, usable. Everything else just kind of falls into the middle. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as we get into this thing. That was only 7 minutes in the windup. That's not too bad. 4:30 here. So we go 90 minutes. If we go 100 minutes, that gives us 5 minutes per team, basically. If you want to set your timers. Maybe we should actually do that. I don't actually mind that, Larry. Bubic as a sleeper in season long. He's all right. I just don't think he's worth the price that FanDuel's asking is really the biggest thing. Like at 84 on DraftKings, he's perfectly fine. He's striking out 27.6%. The swinging strike rate has been tremendous. He's been very good out of the gate. But the stuff was very mediocre. That's slightly below average stuff. Last year, you can't get more slightly below average than 1/100th of a point below average. But the swinging strikes were there. It is an incredibly small sample in 24. It's been a minute for Bubic, huh? 129 innings back in 2022, 18.7% strikeout rate. Problematic on the ERA, the xFIP. Too much power and premium contact allowed. I didn't realize it had been quite that long. I hadn't looked backward in time at the numbers. So yeah, if he continues that kind of swinging strike rate, and it's a true carryover from the small sample from last year, then sure, maybe we'll be talking about him in more glowing terms in the future. Let's see him get through this Yankees lineup when they're pulling nearly a 4.5 total in a home game on a day where the weather is not exactly balmy, but it's 50s. It's a decent night in the New York area, so they should be hitting. So yeah, more inclined at 84 there, and more interested probably as like a season-long waiver wire claim streaming starter. Gavin Williams, 25% K so far to start his season, a 3.46 ERA with a 3.77 xFIP. Nicest thing here is the 13.2% swinging strike rate that he's induced so far. He's walking too many hitters early. That whip is too high, too many opportunities given up there. He's missed barrels, but he's given up plenty of fly balls. Not allowing a ton of premium contact yet has spared him on the home runs, but a couple mistakes, that changes in an awful hurry. Williams is very, very good, though. 5 innings in his most recent start, he struck out 7. He allowed 1 earned on 3 hits to the White Sox. Very good start there. That was his best mark of the season, but in the first two, he only gave up 2 runs apiece, 2 earned apiece, 4 runs total over only 3 innings, and faced 18 hitters in the second start. That was against the Angels. He struck out 5, he walked 3 in that tiny sample, allowed a home run, and then was out of the game. But I think we see upside for Gav here. Again, the Orioles, excellent lineup overall. A lot of players we like on this team, but we can see them from time to time get up there and flail. They just got shut down last night by Logan Allen, of all people. A lot of lefties that he could take advantage of that will have a little bit of upside against Gav potentially here. But again, Gavin Williams, much, much better pitcher than we had against this Orioles team last night. 4.14 is a respectable total in Vegas. At worst, it's a both-sided situation where you can take some shares of Gavin Williams. Probably like him better as the single starter site, 7,200. That's just really cheap for his talent. So 72 on FanDuel works well. 82 on DraftKings. I think he's at worst on the board and very playable. Dean Kramer going up against the Guardians. This is a good Guardians lineup on the top end. On the bottom end, they kind of scuffle. Like those last 4 spots are typically pretty weak. There are definitely Ks down there. There are not as many strikeouts up toward the top of the lineup, but overall, this lineup has more strikeouts than it has for the last few seasons. So there's more upside in targeting Guardians. Kramer is a middle-of-the-board type pitcher. 22% strikeout rate last year, a 4.10 ERA with a 4.34 xFIP, 9.3% swinging strike rate. There's nothing to write home about here. This is very average. This is higher than average. Same numbers last year, the year before, around 21%. Very average in terms of the Ks, but he can pick up a couple here and there. So on the right day, if you get him at 65 on DraftKings as an SP2, just as a value bargain bin dart throw type guy, over a few shares, it's probably more likely to be played for 150 lineup builders. But I think it's there. I think there's just enough there that you could roll those dice a few times given that very low price. But we've got a lot to work with price-wise. FanDuel, I don't think I would do it. Hasn't really been getting all that deep into games. He was bad in his most recent one, 4 2/3 at Arizona. Got lit up by that offense for 6 runs on 8 hits. Struck out 4, gave up 3 home runs, concerningly. Struck out just 1 in his middle game. He gave up 2 earned runs on 8 hits in that one over 4 1/3. Was okay in the first one for strikeouts, was 6, but walked 2, gave up a homer, allowed 5 earned runs on 5 hits over 5 1/3 at Toronto. He's faced 3 decent to good teams so far, but he's facing another one today. So not a great spot for Dean Kramer, but he's very, very cheap. There's a minor amount of upside. Like I expect him around those median projections unless he gets destroyed kind of a day. If you're looking at Guardians against, I think that's very playable, but you can see they are below a 4-run total, which says something about the Kramer spot a little bit. Again, I'm not selling this. Don't get me wrong. This is not a good pitcher. This is not a good spot. I'm not trying to sell it as hard as it might sound like, but it is noteworthy that they're below 4 runs. Stephen Kwan, excellent leadoff bat off the top. Excellent table setter, 333, 391, 492 to start his year, a 345 xWOBA. He's doing everything you ask from Stephen Kwan. He's got 3 home runs on the board, hitting for a little bit more power the last year plus. Really interesting bat at 5,000, 3,000 against this pitcher. I expect him to be on base multiple times, get driven in by the superstar Jose Ramirez behind him, who's got 4 home runs already, a 129 WRC plus, 269 ISO. He's mashing the ball, even though he's not making great contact. It's just his typical contact. He succeeds with light barrel rates, light hard hit rates, and puts up superstar caliber numbers. Carlos Santana at 42.26, fairly cheap. 2 home runs on the board. You have the positional conflict to worry about with Manzardo. Between the two, probably more DFS upside in Manzardo on any given slate, but Santana's going to give you the more consistent numbers. It's a higher ceiling, safer basement kind of a situation. Manzardo's going to put some zeros in your lineup a lot of days. 4 home runs on the board, but slashing 176, 313, 471 over 64 plate appearances. Encouraging in the xWOBA at 358. He's been well above average over 124 WRC plus. Mashing the ball with a 294 ISO, 18.9% barrels. Lane Thomas is good, has kind of underperformed his 34 plate appearances so far. There's nothing to like about that 194 xWOBA even, so there's nothing to hunt for in those numbers. But we know from seasons past that this is a pretty respectable major leaguer. Last year, 15 homers, 32 steals. Career runs just 1% below average. The year before, he was 9 points above average in a 28-20 season, 682 plate appearances. He missed some time. He was a little bit inconsistent when he was available last year, but a good overall player who's very playable at 4,2,700 against this pitcher. Good bat on ball skills. Then you hit Anel Martinez, Gabriel Arias, Bo Naylor and Daniel Schneemann, and these guys are very much just mix and match quality. Gabriel Arias has been good out of the gate. We've been hunting for this power for when he's in the lineup for a couple of seasons. He's got 3 home runs early on the board, 55 plate appearances. It's at least interesting to watch. 204 ISO, 8.8% barrels and 47.1% hard hits. He's a mixer. At second base, he plays kind of well for the money. 2,600 at second base on FanDuel. That also plays kind of well. So if you need to average down some pricing with a couple expensive bats up top, you can include him, but you probably don't need to go that far because you do have 3 much more playable cheap bats right there that have more upside. Naylor's just a cheap catcher with a little bit of power upside. Schneemann's a mix and match infielder. On the Orioles side, Gunnar, superstar caliber, 7.78 in your home run model. They're just facing the better of these 2 pitchers. There's no reason to not at least consider them as a secondary stack, not to consider them as a lower owned in your portfolio, but still exposed to stack. 4.14 implied total says it all. There's definitely some run upside here. Gunnar over his 39 plate appearances hasn't been great, but just give it a minute. It'll come around and he'll be putting up his usual numbers. The prices at 56.35, it's probably as low as we're going to see him. 52.32 for Adley, very affordable for a premium catcher bat. 3 home runs on the board, a 384 xWOBA suggests there's more to come. Ryan O'Hearn, very affordable lefty in this lineup, 39.28, just puts up solid numbers, makes things happen in this lineup, gets on base, hits line drives, doubles, drives in runs, gets driven in because he's on base all the time. 357 xWOBA and a 132 WRC plus to start his year. Doing Ryan O'Hearn things. No reason not to like that option. Cedric Mullins, 49.34, off to a great start. 4 home runs, 3 steals, looking like the Cedric Mullins of old over 62 plate appearances. 388 xWOBA was encouraging. It's been 106% better than average creating runs so far. Really interesting option for 49.34. FanDuel's got him appropriately priced. DraftKings, I would argue, could have put him at 5,000 plus, and you wouldn't have really batted an eye. Tyler O'Neill, 6.69 in the home run model, was the home run pick from the Orioles today, just because we haven't seen too many of them. We had the opening day and then one more after that, but he's been good. 265, 339, 490, 370 xWOBA, 224 ISO. He's hitting the ball hard, 18.4% barrels, 44.7% hard hits. If he continues doing exactly what he's doing right now, we'll be over 30 home runs at the end of the year, promise you. Heston Kjerstad, Ryan Mountcastle, Jackson Holiday, Ramon Urias, that's a really usable bottom 4. Kjerstad probably the least appealing in that group. He's got a home run on the board. He is a lefty bat going up against the young righty. He's very cheap. He hits the ball fairly hard, 44.4% hard hits so far this season. But I'd rather get invested in some Ryan Mountcastle with the power upside, even though we've talked about it a bunch. Even though it hasn't truly come out yet, he's at least hitting the ball 269, 296, 385, mix and match quality there, but 342 xWOBA suggests more is coming, and the barrels and the hard hits are phenomenal right now. 17.5%, 57.5% in those 2 departments. That's what we're looking for. That's where we want our uptick to come. So I'm looking to get in early on the Mountcastle surge because it's coming. And then Holiday, the talent is real. We'll see whether it ever lands at the major league level. So far, it has not. It's been problematic. Maybe you go to Ramon Urias for cheap. He's always an interesting cheap DFS bat that nobody ever rosters because they don't think he's good. Over 39 plate appearances, a 330 xWOBA. He's been all right. Hasn't homered yet, but in 301 last year, he hit 11 home runs. He's given us that kind of sneaky late lineup pop from the right side over time. This goes... Man, this is close. Gavin Williams, Orioles bats, Guardians bats. I wouldn't really, again, recommend Dean Kramer outside of just very, very dusty bargain bin type darts on DK. 1 game down. How was that? All right. It was 11 minutes. I was shooting for 5 minutes a team. That's not too bad. Nats. Going up against the lefty. Nats against the lefty has been kind of an interesting spot over the last couple of seasons. With this version of the lineup, I'm not totally sure that that's what we're chasing here, but there is just talent in this lineup. And Alex Call is one of those guys who's been good against left-handed pitching. He's just been out of the gate pretty good over 46 plate appearances so far this year. 4,100, 2,900. He's at 324, 457, 441, a 359 xWOBA. He's hit the ball not exactly hard, but into the right places. 157 WRC plus to start his campaign. He's very cheap to start out, and then you bolt him on to James Wood, which we're not worried about lefty-lefty with a bat like James Wood against a pitcher like Bailey Falter. So fire away with that. 9.07 in the home run model. He's got a 24.4% barrel rate with 61% hard hits to start his year. Kid's blasted 6 home runs already, a 339 ISO, a 417 xWOBA, 163 WRC plus over 74 plate appearances. He is a masher, and we're probably watching the beginnings of the monster breakout season. Last year, over 336, he was good, but like disappointed the preseason fantasy hype, right? 9 home runs, 14 steals, not exactly great, but 264, 354, 427, terrific. 163 ISO, not exactly where you expect it, given his power pedigree, but we're getting it this year. 120 WRC plus in that half season last year. He was very good last year, but underwhelmed from fantasy perspectives, which is why maybe he was underappreciated coming into season long this year. Keibert Ruiz, 43-29. Very, very functional bat against this pitcher. You can get some good bat on ball out of Keibert. He doesn't blast the ball, just 1.9% barrels this year, 3% last year, 5% the year before, but he does put frequent bat on ball, which sometimes is all we're looking for. Sub 10% K so far this year, right around 10% each of the last 2 years. Low walk rate, which just means there is always bat on ball. From a catcher, that's ideal at 4,300. You play him like he's a first baseman, but you've got 2 guys that you do want in your lineups at first base on FanDuel, so it gets a little complex there around those 3 guys for really 2 spots on FanDuel and not wanting to all the time use both first base and util from the same team on FanDuel. So it gets a little problematic there. You do have the same positional conflict around Lowe and Bell on DraftKings, but at least the Keibert Ruiz is out of the situation. So far, 2 home runs on the board, 377 xWOBA. He's been really good so far. Nathaniel Lowe is just cheap, 3,600, 3,100. I don't really understand why DraftKings has him so cheap. He's got a 13.2% barrel, 50% hard hits on the year. He's hit 3 home runs already, 217 ISO, a 355 xWOBA. He's doing Nathaniel Lowe things, and he's looking like the more interesting power bat that he was a couple years ago. So I'm really intrigued by the Low spot. He also draws walks, gets on base, helped create runs, 137 WRC plus. Josh Bell behind him at 33.29, very playable bat. 142.69, 281, very underwhelming start to his year. The xWOBA is slight tick below average. The WRC plus is way below average so far. 9.5% barrels is at least encouraging. There's some good bat on ball. He has drawn some walks this season, despite the low on base. Just kind of suggests to me, and I'm not going to take the time to look it up, but suggests that we've just had some bad luck there. For BABIP with Josh Bell. The talent is real. He's never going to be a superstar, but he's got 18 to 22 home run kind of upside. Ahmed Rosario, mix and match piece in your infield, outfield eligibility as well on FanDuel, 41-26. He's off to a good start, 300, 323, 467. We've seen these stretches from Rosario before. Doesn't really provide a ton of upside in counting stats, but if he's getting on base, he's an affordable infielder. You can mix him in. Dylan Cruz, very limited so far at the major league level, 3,200, 2,500. I talked about it before. I think they're just letting him develop up here rather than sending him back down. 5.59 in your home run models, the real one thing to cling to, maybe the 9.4% barrels we've seen so far this year, has not resulted in anything. A 265 xWOBA. He's at a negative 13 WRC plus, which is impressive. 4 stolen bases on the board. Last year, over 132 in his cup of coffee. He did hit 3 home runs. He stole 12 bases, but 218, 288, 353. That's unsustainable. So he's really got to get it in gear or risk getting sent back down. Luis Garcia against the lefty, suffer a little bit here. I thought I took the juniors off. Whatever. I'm not sure why his numbers aren't populating over here. It's the junior thing, but it's for some reason they keep going back and forth with whether these juniors are pulling the look up or not. I got to figure out what's going on there. Regardless, good hitter, but a little bit diminished against the lefty. Drops in the lineup. A lot of times he's not in the lineup when they face a lefty, but we get him today. Nasim Nunez in the lineup, switch hitter, 2,400, 2,000. 7 good plate appearances so far with a stolen base on the board. How many sample from him last year? Yeah, 78 plate appearances, 8 steals. A little bit of speed there for sure if he's getting on base for you, but mix and match quality. If you're looking Nats, I'm really interested in like these top 3, and then you can pick your poison out of these next 4 guys, really. On the Pirates side, We skipped over Bailey Falter. I'm going to kind of do that here. 7.20 ERA, a 4.38 xFIP. Not much of a quality pitcher. Last year, 16.5% strikeout rate over a mostly full season in 28 starts. This year, 19% in a small sample with an 11.4% swinging. If he goes out there and shuts down this Nats team, it wouldn't like knock me out of my chair. He'll break off an okay start every now and again. But you can see where he's at. Stuff Plus doesn't like him. He's allowed a ton of premium contact. Everything about this speaks to the bats. So we're kind of just vaulting over Mr. Falter there at his low prices. Even for the money, I don't think we go there. We do need to talk about Mitchell Parker, though. Over 18 and a third, Mitchell Parker's got a 1.96 ERA with a 4.86 xFIP. He's got a 13% strikeout rate, 10.4% walk rate. That's 3 strikeouts in his most recent outing. That was against Miami. Gave up 3 runs, 3 earned runs, 4 total on 5 hits, walked 2 over 6 innings. He has hit the quality start mark each of his outings, so maybe FanDuel's giving him a lot of credit for that. But I just don't understand that price at $10,000. It's a gettable enough Pirates team, I guess, with a little bit of strikeout upside in it, sure, but it's not like he's out there shutting guys down. 2 strikeouts in his second outing, 4 walks, give up 1 earned on 2 hits over 6 innings to the Diamondbacks. Sure, that was successful from a actual outcome sense, but you cannot do that against that team or even this team that many times and get away with it. His ERA for that game was 1.50. His xFIP for that game was 6.03. 6 1/3 against Philly to start his season. 5 Ks. Gave up 7 hits but no runs. It's another one, 0 ERA, but a 4.21 xFIP for that game. He walked 2. So this is not a premium pitcher. He's an okay lefty who generally lacks a ton of strikeout stuff. Last year, 10% swinging strikes, but only a 25.6% CSW. Just struck out 20.6%. So we're not going to linger in this territory all year. He'll probably get back toward his 1 in 5. I think he can be an interesting spot starter from time to time in excuse me. In like season long, if you get him in streaming, but I don't love him in DFS. And at 10,000, I don't think we go anywhere near him against a Pirates lineup that is at least capable. Let's see if we got the confirmed. We did. So at least a capable Pirates lineup, and they've got 1 superstar bat right here. Nope, he moved. He's right here. O'Neal Cruz, 2 home runs on the board, 8 stolen bases. We're going to completely ignore the 200 batting average. Nobody cares. 333 on base, a 357 xWOBA, most notably 91 WRC plus. He's kind of underperformed his talent. He's underperformed the 14.7% barrels, the 50% hard hits. Just give it time. It'll all work itself out. He is elite in terms of what he actually does with the bat in his hands. 5,300, 3,700, well worth the price. Shortstop eligibility still on FanDuel is noteworthy. Brian Hayes in the leadoff spot today at 36.25 against the lefties. Interesting. Decent bat on ball hitter, 16.4% Ks this year, 18.9% last year. Doesn't walk as much as he is so far this year. He's doubled his walk rate year over year in the small sample. That's not going to hold. Even with that, he's not really getting on base. But he can square the ball up. 51% hard hits so far this year, 40 plus last year, but 48.4% the year before with a 7.4% barrel. When he's going right, he hits the ball hard, but doesn't really elevate for enough home run upside. But you can get a solid like doubles hitter type of power out of him. 359 xWOBA suggests that's the case. Brian Reynolds at 43.29 has plenty of upside still. 211, 269, 352 has not been good to start his year, but his 329 xWOBA is definitely encouraging. 2 home runs, a stolen base, plenty of career history to suggest that he will come around very quickly. Switch hitter against the lefty. I like the option there at the cheap price. Andrew McCutchen, not dead yet. 270, 357, 405, still an on-base machine. Home run on the board, 377 xWOBA, hitting the ball extremely hard, 10.3% barrels, 58.6% hard hits for the aging righty. Love that option against this lefty. Definitely take shares of Andrew McCutchen if you're stacking up Pirates. 4.01 implied total. They're not a top priority by a long stretch of the imagination, but they're playable. This top 4, very playable. Throwing Tommy Pham into the mix against a mediocre lefty, very playable. Tommy Pham's cheap. He still hits the ball hard, 44.4% hard hits in a small sample so far this year. Hasn't resulted in much. Even the xWOB is not good for Pham. Everybody above him is just underperforming their xWOB pretty dramatically. Pham is kind of his xWOB is overperforming his numbers. Well, that's the case that I said for the other guys, just the other way around. You know what I mean? So he's a diminishing talent, let's say. 9 home runs last year over 478 plate appearances was not exactly the good version of Tommy Pham. The year before, 16 homers, 22 steals, 190 ISO, created runs 10% better than average. If you get that guy on any given slate, and again, against a mediocre lefty, is the time to get that version of Tommy Pham. I think that's a playable option. Jared Triolo mixes in against lefties at 2,100, 2,300. You want him at second base, not at either corner spot. FanDuel's got him at third. DraftKings has him at first. Put him at second if you play him at all. Mix and match quality righty bat. IKF, not much of a hitter. Every now and then he comes through with a clutch single. He's a slap hitter. That's all he is. And Manuel Valdez, mix and match lefty. Henry Davis, on the other hand, though, interesting righty bat at the bottom of the lineup. Not an ideal spot in the lineup at 2,400, though. A catcher, though, kind of interesting given the pedigree for the player. Top end prospect for this team. He's the dead min price with outfield eligibility on the FanDuel slate, so you don't need to bottle up your catcher first base shares. I kind of like that option as a last resort in the Pirates lineup if you're deviating from the top 5. Like you could grab him, mix him in on top of any of those guys. This is Nats bats, Pirates bats. Mitchell Parker on DraftKings. Wouldn't play Bailey Falter, wouldn't play Mitchell Parker on FanDuel. Does anybody have a good explanation for that Parker price? Ooh, Tyler O'Neill scratched. Thanks, Larry. Let me grab that so I remember to just make the change now, actually. How are we doing on time? 4:53. All right. I'm just going to upload this real quick, guys, because we got that Pirates lineup too. Let me correct the Orioles. Talk amongst yourselves for a brief moment. I'm just updating the website. The website, if you're not familiar, rotoscouts.com. Access to all of these projections for baseball. You get the home run model. You get the individual projections for both sites. You get my top stacks picks. You get my home run picks. You also get access to NBA projections, which are live for tonight's 2-gamer for the play-in series. NHL projections. Both of those sports, every main slate guaranteed all the way through the playoffs for both of those. All in for under $1 a day. Access all of that. Rotoscouts.com. Also give our guys over at acemind.io a look. If you're looking for a new optimizer, if you're looking for sim tools, best pricing in the industry, excellent product across multiple sports, including MLB, including NFL, NBA. Excellent tools over at acemind.io. Promo code rotoscouts, all in caps, gets you 20% off your first month with those guys. We save this file. We'll upload it to the site, and then we'll come on back. So many clicks just to get these things up on the thing, up on the website, linked into the thing to download the CSV. And then I got to remember to also click over and upload the table. 455, Tyler O'Neill. Okay, that's updated. And just do the table real quick. Hit the like button out there for this exciting content that you're watching right now. Appreciate all you guys. Everybody who shows up every day. Everybody who's stumbling across us for the first time. All right, 181 lines, 181 lines. All right, cool. We're updated. What's going on? Gundacker's here. Love it. Saw your message, bud. I'll get back to you, but yeah, definitely want to Want to make that happen. Gunn messaged me finally, not him finally, but he took the first step. One of us finally took the first step in putting together a little collaboration. So I got to read what you actually wrote there. But I saw you were saying like Monday, Tuesday, something like that. And we'll find a good slate where we're not going to just talk into lock like I'm about to do today. And we'll make that happen. But I'll get back to you a little later on. Let me continue on through this. Monty says, DK been tripping along with Jimenez price. DraftKings is hallucinating. Only real explanation. Yeah, I think that FanDuel's pricing algorithm was drinking when they came up with some of these today. Brendan Pfaadt, 87-86 across sites. Pretty good price for a pretty good pitcher. 3.50 ERA with a 3.68 xFIP. Hasn't gotten off to a great start in terms of the strikeouts, and he's given up too many home runs to start the season. Too many barrels on the board, 11.1% barrel rate. That's not going to hold, but right now he's made a few pretty critical mistakes that have resulted in a 5.80% home run rate. You can see stuff plus is down as well. 92.69, that's down from the 107 that he put up last year. Home runs are always going to be there. He's a fly ball oriented pitcher. He does, make the occasional mistake that young pitchers do, but he's way better than the numbers we've seen so far this season. What I like is that he's kept the walks down, 4.3% walks against the 17.4% Ks. I expect the walks are going to stay generally in that territory as the strikeouts go up. The swinging strikes are an exact match for where he was last year at 11.4%. So we're not far off the mark with Brandon Pfaadt here, and we're going up against a very gettable Marlins team. 87-86 is a phenomenal price, projects out near the top of the board. Just got to have a little faith in the pitcher, a little faith in the spot. I really like this spot for Brandon Pfaadt to have a good get-right start in terms of the strikeouts. And at worst, I do think he's getting through this lineup clean a few times. You've got a couple power threats here. Matt Mervis has been off to a pretty real start with 5 home runs on the board. That's interesting to see. Kyle Stowers has a little bit of lefty power that's showing through the model. And then they get Jesus Sanchez back in the lineup today. So that's 3 pretty powerful lefties stacked up in a row right there against Brandon Pfaadt that are going to be homer hunting for sure. The good news is you can strike out all 3 of those lefties pretty effectively. So I like Pfaadt's upside to get through those guys. You face those 3 guys twice each. I like Pfaadt's upside to come away with 4 Ks in that equation and not give up the home run. So I think that's dynamite as far as how they're attacking him today. Xavier Edwards is problematic at the top of the lineup. He's an excellent bat-on-ball player, but he doesn't do much on his own outside of that. He's got a 120 WRC plus, a 289 xWOB, but tells the tale about how he actually swings the bat, though. 16.7% hard hits, no barrels. Last year it was 1.8 and 23.9. He will be a Luis Arias with speed type guy. Quality contact, put the ball in place, single, get to first base, make something happen with your speed. But then he needs Sanchez, Stowers, Mervis, et cetera, to come through behind him. And that's not really the reliable group of hitters. They're also playing in front of an empty ballpark. I don't know if you saw the tweets going around last night, but there were like 40 people in the ballpark last night before 10 minutes before first pitch. Pretty ugly. At 3,200, 2,800, Mervis with 5 homers, a 345 xWOBA, 170 WRC plus. This is a kid who was a very real power prospect on his way up. 13.8% barrels 2 years ago in a major league sample. How many plate appearances did you see? 99 plate appearances. He hit 3 home runs off of that. He was making good contact, but did not do very much with it in that sample. Only saw 28 plate appearances last year. Made his way to the Marlins, getting a little bit more of a regular opportunity and coming through. It would be encouraging to see him continue this. And I'm not thinking that it's off the board that he could, but the strikeouts are going to be very, very real there. And I like Pfaadt to find those Ks. Stowers is just a mix and match quality talent. The 21% barrels is not going to hold, but the 10 plus probably is real from last year. 51% hard hits is pretty high, but he's an okay enough bat. He's off to a 291, 385, 436 start with a 375 xWOBA. And then Jesus Sanchez has always been very good at making premium contact. 12.2% barrels and 50.9% hard hits last year, 12.2 and 46.3 the year before. His biggest problems are consistency and staying in the lineup. In 23, he only made 402 plate appearances. He was all right at 253, 327, 450, had a 197 ISO and hit 14 homers off of that quality contact. Last year, a few more plate appearances, 252, 313, 417, a 166 ISO completely defies that quality of contact, though. 18 home runs over that, should have been higher. 16 steals was a nice little addition from this player last year. Had a 100 WRC plus on the nose for run creation. The talent is higher than that, though. This should be a better player. It could be an organization thing, could be a lineup thing. Like if he's on the Yankees, is he a better player? If he's on the Dodgers, is he a better player? Who knows? But there are numbers to suggest that he very well could be. So I don't think he's uninteresting if you are choosing to grab Marlins and maybe target some of those Brandon Pfaadt home runs. I just greatly prefer the Pfaadt side of this equation. And then after Mervis, it gets ugly fast. Otto Lopez at 39-29. 2 home runs on the board, a stolen base. Sure. I'm very happy for him. 377 xWOBA, 98 WRC plus so far this year. Last year, he had 6 home runs, 270, 313, 377 over 434 plate appearances, a 107 ISO. That's not an interesting DFS player. 89 plate appearances last year with a 183 ISO at a Griff Conine. You could convince me is maybe more interesting. So far, 16.7% barrels, 58.3% hard hits is definitely interesting. He's got a homer on the board, 320, 393, 480, 353 xWOBA to start his season. That is, if we're mining cheap Marlins bats, that's probably where I'm going. So it's Edwards, these 3 lefties, and then that lefty. And thank you very much for your 5-man on DraftKings. That's really it from this lineup. Liam Hicks, not much of a bat at catcher. Derek Hill, not much of a bat. And Graham Pauley hasn't really done much. There's a little bit of maybe pedigree on that one. We did get 7 home runs, a 179 ISO last year out of Derek Hill, but that's your upside from Hill. So it's really short. It's 1 through 6 if you're going here, and I greatly prefer Brandon Pfaadt on that side. Max Meyer, interesting pitcher. The stuff plus mark hasn't been where it was during the spring, but he's managed to put away 25.7% of hitters over his first 3 starts. Inducing a 12.4% swinging strike rate is very interesting. The xFIP is in line with a sparkling 2.0 ERA over his first couple outings. That was 6 1/3 against the Mets at New York. Gave up 2 hits, but no runs, 4 strikeouts. Had an 8 strikeout game and a 7 strikeout game against the Braves and the Pirates, respectively, going back in time over his first 2. 6 innings against the Braves, 3 earned, but 8 strikeouts, and then 5 2/3, 1 earned run, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts. The 1 home run he's allowed all season came against the Pirates in the first game. So a talented pitcher, just going to be really challenged by a good Diamondbacks team. Corbin Carroll showing a 10+ in the home run model. Again, I almost made him the home run pick of the day because of that today. 9.77 on Josh Naylor, 9.62 showing for Eugenio Suarez, who's stumbled after his very hot start, which is kind of to be expected. That's just who Suarez is. But that power is very, very real and could come roaring back at any moment, and he's still got excellent barrel and hard hit numbers so far. In between those guys, you've got a lot of very skillful on-base options. You've got some power upside around Pavin Smith. It's a really, really good lineup. Carroll's affordable. I mean, 4,062. It's high on its own, but once you just consider the average down, if you just 5-minute off the top there, that already brings it down to 47. And you're just paying the correct price for those guys, and you're getting Lourdes Gurriel pretty cheap. So no issues with that. That is a very playable stack. On FanDuel, it's the same kind of thing. That averages down to 3,200. If you skip Naylor and went with Lourdes Gurriel instead, you could get that even cheaper, 31. Naylor's got a pair of home runs. He's stolen 4 bases. I guess we're just running this year. 397 on base. He's going to pay that off by running. That makes him more interesting, especially in a park, in their home park. We're going to expect his power to kind of diminish. So it's always interesting watching him attempt to steal bases, and he's been successful so far. 357 xWOBA, 152 WRC plus. Power's right where we want it. 42.4% hard hits. He's lost a few barrels so far. So if he picks that up, we'll see the power uptick. 4,700 is a great price for him. Pavin Smith at 45 has a 20.8% barrel rate, 50% hard hits. He's always been good at squaring the ball up. Over 46 major league plate appearances this season, 375, 457, 600, 225 ISO, 1 home run on the board, but a 368 xWOBA. Plenty of quality contact, plenty of power upside from the lefty. You have a positional conflict with Naylor, which sucks on DraftKings. You get him first base and outfield on FanDuel. You've also got the util spot to work with. Very easy to work into a lineup. Gurriel off to a bad start, but is a good player. 150, 185, 283. That's going to go up, I promise. 2 home runs on the board. Last year, 279, 322, 435 over the course of the season. 108 WRC plus with 18 homers. He's a very good middle-of-the-road type player who's just a few $100 cheap on both sites. Eugenio Suarez, like I mentioned, 18.4% barrel, 63.2% hard hits, 5 home runs that came over the first 7 games of the year, and has been a little bit dormant since. But the 375 xWOBA tells us, and the contact tells us that the power, again, could come roaring back at any minute. And Meyer's gettable in that department. He does keep the ball down. He's limited home runs to just one so far this year, but one mistake, there's plenty of hard hit and exit velo available. Gabriel Moreno, Alec Thomas, Tim Tawa, all mixable pieces. These two more mixers. This one more a priority catcher if you're going to that team. Low strikeout, high walk catcher, puts good bat on ball. Hasn't seen great results early this season. Had an okay year last year. Power was out at just 5 home runs, a 115 ISO, but still created runs 7% better than average over 351 plate appearances and got on base like crazy, 353 on base. Speaking of on base, I skipped over Geraldo Perdomo up at the top. My mouth is failing me trying to talk fast. He's getting on base right now at a 431 clip with a 402 xWOBA. He's got 3 home runs on the board already this season. I don't expect the power to hold. He hit 3 home runs all of last year in 388 opportunities, but he's always been good at the major league level at getting on base. 353 2 years ago, 344 last year. That I do expect will hold. Probably not at 400 plus, but as long as he's going to be up at the top of the lineup, filling in for Ketel Marte up there, he's been really interesting so far, and I think he's going to continue to be interesting for a correlated scoring piece. 3,000 is not a bad price, and I would be willing to play him at shortstop. 45 is correct, but not exactly like discounted. It's a little bit higher relatively, I think, than the 3,000 on FanDuel. So Diamondbacks bats at 463 is one of the better stack opportunities of the day, despite Max Meyer being decent. Brandon Pfaadt, then Max Meyer, and then actually, I'm going to put the Marlins above Max Meyer. I really don't think it's Max's day, especially not at 93 on FanDuel. He's more usable at the 81 on DraftKings. Just given Pfaadt hiccups with home runs from time to time and that little stretch of lefty power that we talked about, I'll give the Marlins a little nudge just above Max Meyer in that four-way ranking. That really ultimately means nothing. 508. All right. Mariners. Reds. I am not willing to roster Nick Martinez for any price on either side in this start. As much as I love targeting the Mariners, it's just too deep a pitching board with too many mispriced pitchers that are providing good opportunities that why do I want to go to a mediocre pitcher in a bandbox ballpark against a team that's drawing a 4.76 implied total against, that's showing at least mid-board power. There's plenty of Ks here, sure, but is he the guy that's going to go get him? I'm skeptical. 21.7% strikeouts over the first 3 starts of his season is very good. The strikeout to walk ratio is nice with only 5.8% walks. That was 5 2/3 with 8 Ks against San Francisco, a comparable strikeout team. But he gave up 4 earned runs on 7 hits in that start. Wasn't exactly successful for DFS. Came up short of the quality start where it matters on FanDuel. 3 earned runs in his second start of the season at Milwaukee. He only struck out 2 in that one. He only struck out 5 against the same Giants team in a home game in his first start. He got through 6 in that game, but gave up 4 earned runs, 2 homers. He's given up 3 homers on the season. The only real positive attribute is the lack of walks. He hasn't been getting himself in that much trouble. Stuff Plus doesn't like the arsenal. He's been giving up the barrels, the fly balls that have resulted in some home runs. In this ballpark, you give up those fly balls. The hard hit, the exit velo matters a little bit less. The ball can just travel here. So I don't love the option. I think we're leaning Mariners bats. I do like this option, though. And everything about the ballpark does work against Bryce Miller equally. But he's very, very good. Stuff Plus hasn't really been there to start this season. He's right at the league average. Last year, he was 12 points above average in his 31 starts. He also had a 24.3% strikeout rate against just a 6.4% walk. Sub 1 whip is very appealing. 11% swinging strikes. Had a 2.94 ERA, but a 3.85 xFIP is kind of a wart on these lines. 9.7% barrels allowed, 40.8% hard hits, 90 miles an hour of exit velo allowed. Got a little lucky to keep home runs below 3%. So far this year, the contact's been similar on the exit velo. He's missed a few more hard hits in a small sample, has missed a lot of barrels in a small sample, but still allowing those fly balls. So you could have a little bit of danger from your key power bats like McLean, like Ellie, Austin Hayes, you could argue, is a little bit of power upside there. But I just like Bryce Miller's talent. I like his swinging strikes. I want to target some of the Ks that are also in this lineup. Ellie, for example, as good as he is, strikes out quite a bit. He's cut it this year so far from where he was last year, which was an improvement over the year before. It's nice to see that gradual progression for the player. That's still a pretty high strikeout rate that we can target. So is that. There are Ks here. And Miller's better than what he's done this season. 4.50 ERA, a 4.93 xFIP, walking too many at 11.8% is wildly uncharacteristic. 10.9% swinging is right where we want it, but the strikes, he's missing strikes. 19.1% strikeout rate. That's where those strikeouts have gone. I expect quick correction for the pitcher. He's too talented to keep this up for long. The price is way down at 85 and even further down at 82 on FanDuel. Priority pitcher for me, even in this ballpark, even with the Reds showing a 4.35. I think we get through it. It is, though, I'll warn, a high danger spot. So know that when you're building your lineups, there are better, safer options on the board. But I think that also probably keeps the public somewhat at bay here on the very good pitcher against a very gettable team. When we talk bats, Julio Rodriguez off the top, Ellie De La Cruz on the other side of that game. We've got two superstars to work with, one on either side of this one. And then playable DFS quality bats with, mix and match quality as far as their actual, how it comes together to form an MLB lineup. But for us, you start with Julio at 5,034. He's got 3 home runs and 4 steals. You kind of ignore a lot of the rest of the back of the baseball card numbers. Focus on the 341 xWOBA to start the year, the 121 WRC plus, 54.5% hard hits. There's a lot to like about Julio's start this year, which has not been the case the last couple seasons. Jorge Polanco, 42.29, off to a great start. 378, 385, 622, 243 ISO, 194 WRC plus with 3 homers, squaring the ball up with an 11.8% barrel. Looks a lot like the old Jorge Polanco, which is really interesting for this team. Fewer strikeouts than the old Jorge Polanco for sure so far this season. That'll probably change, but off to a killer start and still not really priced up on either side. Prefer him at second base to third base. I'll say that across sites. Cal Raleigh, monster power from the catcher position, only 3,900 in this ballpark against this pitcher. That's a great opportunity at catcher. That's a really interesting catcher one-off that I expect to get popular on DK. 3,000 on FanDuel, you play him like he's their first baseman, especially with the ability to pop Luke Raley into the outfield and just ignore Rowdy Tellez there. That's pretty interesting. 5 home runs on the board so far for Raleigh, a 281 ISO, 380 xWOBA. Love the option for power upside today. 22.7% barrels so far out of Cal Raleigh. You'll definitely get strikeouts, but this is a non-threatening pitcher. Randy Arozarena for 42.31. Nicely discounted because he's at 169, 329, 390. The on base is good. The xWOB is even better at 397. His creator runs 21% better than average, but despite being sub-Mendoza, shows you how little batting average actually matters. 11.9% barrels, 45.2% hard hits, by the contact, by the walks, by the upside. Power and stolen bases. It's what makes things happen in DFS. Luke Raley, 40% hard hits. Interesting lefty bat, throw against the mediocre righty here for just 3,200. Pop him into the outfield, probably not at first base. You can use him at first base here and there, but he's more interesting, I think, as an outfield bat, especially if you like skip Arozarena for whatever reason and use him in the outfield in like a 3-man. I think that's the way to go rather than soaking up first base. He's got power. He's made great contact over the last couple seasons. 11% barrels last year, 12.9% the year before. Hasn't resulted in tremendous output. He did hit 22 homers and 455 plate appearances last year, though. 220 ISO, 129 WRC plus. Year before, 19 homers, 14 steals, and 406. So he's not exactly a star, but he's better than a $3,200, $2,400 price tag, and especially in this ballpark against this pitcher. Rowdy Tellez, once upon a time, we'd probably been more interested. He does have a homer on the board, but just a 275 xWOBA. The contact is interesting. 10% barrels, 45% hard hits from the cheap lefty at first base. It's probably just better ways to spend the first base share, but 6 in the home run model, at least noteworthy. Dylan Moore, mix and match. Ben Williamson at the Dead Min debut. Yeah, debut. What is Ben Williamson? Let's find out. Ben Williamson is a guy who does not come up very easily on Fangraphs for some reason. Let's do this. Not Ben Rice. There he is. Benjamin. 541 minor league plate appearances last year, 4 homers, 19 steals, 283, 375, 394. Creator runs 22% better than average. Looks like a average hit tool, maybe a little bit of speed type player at third base. Not ideal, but dead min if you're going to this team is definitely going to help make things work. And if he puts the ball in play a few times, not uninteresting for that price. Given how cheap the guys above him are too. Like if you 5-man on DK, 1, 2, 3 for sure, 4. Actually gonna leave Polanco out because we need third base anyway. So you go 1, 2, 3. Luke Raley. Now we're filling all 3 outfield spots. So maybe this is a case where you use Raley at first and leave another outfield spot open just because we do have 2 high-end outfielders in there. And then we grab that 2,000. And now my 5-man price on DK for a lineup that includes Julio, Cal Raleigh, Arosarena, and Luke Raley is 3,660 a man. You get by with that wraparound play as long as the kid can get on base. It's interesting. FanDuel, it works a little bit less because you're only getting 4 and you're further stretched in that spot. It's viable, it's playable, but it's not as appealing. On the Reds side, a lot less inclined to target Bryce Miller, but they do have a good implied total in this ballpark, so there's at least reason to consider them. Matt McClain is very good. He's got 3 home runs on the board, but only a 200, 333, 533 line. 423 xWOBA, though, suggests that the average is coming up, the power is very real, and all these numbers are going to trend upward. 26.3% barrels and 57.9% hard hits so far also jibes with that. 53-33 is very expensive, but he's well worth it at second base on either side. You put him at second because you want Elliott short. 58-38 is the right price for him. 3 homers, 3 steals. I already mentioned the strikeouts are on the going down on the decline, which is good. 380 xWOBA so far to start the season tells me that there's nothing wrong going on. We're just off to kind of a slow start as far as that slash line goes. 19.1% barrels and 55.3% hard hits to back that up. TJ Friedel in the top spot. Mix and match piece. You can grab them to bolt on to McClain and Ellie, but I kind of like the idea of drawing infielders from this team if I'm going to do it. Like maybe it's a 3-man with second base, shortstop, and then either Spencer Steer or Christian Encarnacion Strand at either first base or third base. It might function better as a 3-man than a full 5-man, but Fredo's playable. He's got a little bit of speed, a little bit of a hit tool. Austin Hayes for 28-24 has a home run on the board. He's made great contact in his tiny sample of 4 plate appearances. Last year, just 5 homers in a down season. Year before, 16 homers in 566 with a respectable slash line. That's who Austin Hayes is. He'll give you like 265, 275 in the average department, mediocre on base, and 15 to 18 home runs. He's playable, but not exactly appealing against a very, very good righty. Gavin Lux, mix and match quality, 273, 365, 345. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be out there, but it's not exactly providing fantasy upside. No counting stats to speak of whatsoever so far this season. Spencer Steer, an interesting bat, off to a slow start over 50, 109, 180, 217. He does have a homer, just a 229 xWOBA. Just got to have a little faith. Steer last year, 20 home runs in 656, also stole 25 bases. Respectable enough numbers in the counting stat department. Encarnacion Strand, a really interesting power bat as a prospect. Didn't really deliver last year, was in and out of the lineup at 123 plate appearances, 2 home runs, a 190, 220, 293 line, was hurt for most of the season. Year before, did hit 13 home runs and 241 plate appearances, but was only here for a partial season that year. So we really haven't seen him over time. We need to get it to opportunity to develop. 2 home runs on the board. The power is very real as far as the upside for power. Jake Fraley, Jose Trevino, mix and match pieces at the bottom of the lineup. Mariners bats. Bryce Miller. Reds bats. No Nick Martinez. Yeesh. All right. Both pitchers here are on the board, unfortunately, but Robbie Ray, a lot more for me as a target for some bats here. I think we're picking up some of these Phillies bats. You can see the power that they're showing. Kyle Schwarber at 16.45 is the top of the home run model today. He's also my home run pick of the day. 6 homers on the year for Schwarbs. 3 of them have come against lefties. 3 of them have come against righties. No suffering from lefty-lefty there. And Robbie Ray is very gettable. The strikeout upside from a few years ago, so far, not apparent this season. 21% strikeouts, 10.2% swinging. The walk problems from a few years ago have been very apparent so far this season. 16.1% walks. He's always been this roller coaster pitcher, but when it now comes without the strikeouts, there's really no upside appeal unless you're just chasing the faith of 30% strikeouts in a small sample last year, and then going back 3 years, 27.4% in one of his better seasons. So I don't know what it's really going to look like over time. I'm much more interested in Phillies bats. At 8,000, you can throw a few darts at it. I think it's worth the gamble to chase some strikeout upside, but not in a ton of shares. 91 on FanDuel, I'm a lot less interested. He projects out okay because the model's got a long memory, but this is not a good start. All of his warts are showing in a big, big way. 20.5% barrels, most notably. What does that amount to? 7 strikeouts in his last game. He allowed 1 earned run on 2 hits over 4 innings to the Yankees. Was that the rain game? I forget. Walked 4 in that one. Walked 5 in the start before that while only striking out 2 Mariners. Of all teams, only 2 Mariners. We were looking at him that day for maybe some strikeouts. 6 innings was good. The runs allowed was fine. He only allowed 3 earned runs in the game against the Reds at Cincinnati, which is obviously a very hitter-friendly park. Only 4 Ks. One walk in that one, but allowed 2 home runs. It's been just messy. I'm more drawn to this power upside. And you can see it's not just Harper and Schwarb showing it. Castellanos had a good number on Real Muto, 9.29 on Trey Turner. So taking some Phillies bats upside here. On the other side of that, though, Aaron Nola, 9,000, 8,800. I'm very interested in that pitcher at that price. 23.6% K is perfectly fine to start his season. 5.51 ERA, we just ignore. 3.60 xFIP is the real number with Aaron Nola. Just under a 12% swinging strike rate, over 30% CSW so far. Yeah, the strikeouts, it'd be nice if he was back to higher numbers, 25.5 a couple years ago. It was in the 28 range, I think, the season before that. But this is who he is now. 23.6 is not at all off of the 24 that he put up over 199 and a third and 33 starts last year when he was priced way higher than this in the average start. 103 marked by Stuff Plus last year, 101.92. There's no problems here. There's nothing going on. A couple mistakes have traveled out of the ballpark. He's given up a little bit of barrel and exit velo so far. Maybe that happens again against a hard-hitting Giants team, sure, but that's not a reason to run away from Aaron Nola against a high strikeout team like the Giants. I'm very interested. I think this is extremely cheap for this pitcher in this spot. 25.5% strikeout rate so far for the Giants. 22.2% for this same group of hitters the year before. It probably settled somewhere in the 23.5 range. Call the truth, somewhere in the middle. There are definitely cases for somebody as talented as Aaron Nola, and I'm not going to sweat the home runs. 3 on the board so far from Mike Yastrzemski. Very good lefty stick off the top. 12.5% barrel rate this year, 10.5% last year, 277 ISO, 382 xWOBA. His power is real. He's a talented hitter, but he's not an extreme threat to Aaron Nola. He's a $4,000, $3,100 player, 7.15 in the home run model with a 26% strikeout rate the last 3 years running. Willy Adames, 41-31, coming off a career year, hasn't done anything to start his Giants career. 25% strikeout rate is his most noteworthy attribute of consistency year over year. 206, 276, 294 to start his year. 67 WRC plus over 76 plate appearances. Ouch. Young-Hoo Lee's been really good. 333, 400, 651 with a 394 xWOBA, 3 homers, 3 steals. That's an interesting lefty bat, but needs some help. 43% hard hits, 9.8% barrels, low strikeout, high walk. Could give Nola fits. But if he's the only guy getting on base and not getting driven in by a lot of other guys who are up there flailing, it could be problematic. Matt Chapman, I love the swing. I love the power output when he's making contact. 12.6% barrels and 48.2% hard hits last year. Higher than that the year before. Plenty of home run upside, but off to a slow start. Off to a slow start in terms of making that contact that we need. 2 home runs, 2 steals on the board. Still getting on base. Still creating runs. 116 WRC plus, but the 302 xWOBA jibes with the low-end contact that he's made so far. Just 2.5% barrels, 35% hard hits. Way uncharacteristic for the third baseman. It's probably why he's a little bit cheap at 46, 3,000 for his talent. Elliot Ramos has been squaring the ball up so far this year, just like he did for most of last season. 3 home runs, 2 steals on the board, a 194 ISO, 280 xWOB is a little underwhelming. I expect the power to continue. We'll see where everything else falls. It's going to become a matter of where some of those line drives that don't go for home runs land. So far, they haven't been favorable. That's why we're at 222, 263, 417, and just a 93 WRC plus. If we're buying that hitter, we're buying him for the home run upside. In this spot, I don't love it at 7.44 in the home run model. Lamont Wade, I greatly prefer when he's leading off. He dropped in the lineup because he's off to a terrible start at 109, 208, 283. It's an overreaction by the team in the long run. This guy has gotten on base like crazy over the last 2-3 seasons. But not really that interested at 3,300, 2,500 dropping down lineup. Wilmer Flores, mix and match piece. He does have 6 home runs on the board. He's off to a crazy power start with a 290 ISO. The 3 for 13 xWOBA tells you how real that is. 9.8% barrels. He'll make good contact from time to time and drive the ball for sure. We've seen it for years now, but it's still Wilmer Flores. Patty Bailey, Tyler Fitz. Fitz is more interesting than Bailey. 283, 327, 457. Good provider accounting stats. Had a phenomenal 3/4 of a season last year for DFS purposes. 122 WRC plus. Interesting. 269 xWOBA, though, is concerning as far as the ongoing quality. But right now, for counting stat purposes, for cheap, if you're mining from this team at second base, that's playable. As mentioned, Phillies. I'm taking these two guys a ton of times. Love the power upside for both those lefties who are not going to suffer lefty-lefty, who can wait out their walks against this pitcher. No downside for Harper and Schwarber. Turner's a priority for me at shortstop, 53.35. I don't mind the pricing. Even with those guys, all three at high prices. If you stretch to a fourth man, and I don't mind going to JT Realmuto and using first base util on FanDuel, brings it down to 36, which is at least more playable for the four-man. Still very high, but you're getting a good opportunity against a shaky starter here. 6 homers on the board for Schwarbs, 3 for Bryce Harper with 4 stolen bases, a 393 xWOBA for Harper, a 459 for Schwarbs. Turner at just 273 is a little bit of a concern. He's off to another slow start at 224, 308, 328. The talent is too great, though. It will all even out in the long run. He's a priority to bolt on in front of these guys for his ability to get on base in the long run. Nicky Castellanos at 48. I don't love that price. I like him better for 32 on FanDuel, but I'll take the righty power upside for sure. 8.71. He's got 3 homers on the board. He's off to a killer start. 376 xWOBA is nice. JT Realmuto at 4,200, 2,800. A very playable catcher with very good contact skills still. 8.3% barrels, 44.4% hard hits this year. He's still a masher. You can absolutely grab him for a cheap price if you need a catcher on DK in a one-off share, in a short stack, in a full stack. At 28, like I said, I would play him alongside Bryce Harper at first base. The times I play him at first and leave Harper out and just use him first base and not like double up with the util spot, probably few and far between. Harper's the far more appealing of those two, but Realmuto is very, very playable on both. Alec Bohm is a really interesting line drive hitter who has not been successfully hitting his line drive so far this year. 278 xWOBA, a 1 WRC plus, 99% worse than average so far this season. But he's got a 50.9% hard hit so far this year, which is up 5 points over last year. Low strikeout overall, but has gone up by a few points in the small sample this year. I think we give him time to work it out. The bat is too good. And Mundo Sosa, Rafael Marchand, and Johan Rojas at the bottom of the lineup, all mix and match quality players. You can rotate them in for cheap pricing to help average down a Philly stack, but the appeal is pretty limited for those three. Phillies bats, Aaron Nola or Aaron Nola Phillies bats. Actually, it is Aaron Nola Phillies bats because those prices are just wrong. They're too low. And then Giants bats. And for me, it's really no Robbie Ray. If you're going to throw the Robbie Ray dart for strikeout upside, though, do it on DraftKings at 8,000. I got to pick up the pace or it's going to take us right into lock. Hopefully you're doing well out there. Apologies for not interacting. There's not a lot of chat going on. But let's plow our way through this slate. Sean Newcomb, not an option. Not with the Rays drawing a 4.85 against. Yeah, he struck out 23.8% over his first 3 starts. He's also walked 11-1, 4.97 ERA, but a 3.99 xFIP. There are a couple of appealing attributes there, but the 2.13 whip that he's put up so far, the opportunities that he's allowed against the Rays team in this ballpark that has been, look, hot is not a thing. It's just a good team. It's a good lineup. They are doing Rays things. They've got many multi-position options as well at cheap prices that are appealing for DFS purposes. So not playing Newcomb, looking at some of these heavily right-handed Rays and considering some of those bats given that high implied total. I had to push them up the board a little bit with the projected lineup. They went with a different version in a lot of spots, so it's not as weak as some of the projections looked earlier. But you do get a little bit in the aggregate of a downtick around low projections on Coco Montez and then on Jake Magnum, who I continue to not really believe is a real major leaguer and don't think is worth the 4,400 on DraftKings. 27 on FanDuel is fine. He has stolen 7 bases. He is getting on base. The xWOBA is incredibly telling at 282. The fact that he's what is he? 30 something? 29? 29, and just made his major league debut. Like, this is not a major leaguer. So this price is a little bit out of line down here. But this is a very good top end. Some hard hitters, some excellent on-base options up there. Curtis Mead is off to a slow start, but he is a quality option, I think. So it's a just rough spot for Newcomb. Going the other way was Zach Littell, 75-78. He's got a 20% strikeout so far in 17 innings, 4.3% walk rate. You ignore the 6.88 xFIP, ERA and focus on the 3.73 xFIP if you're considering him at all. A little bit of bad luck with earned runs in his last 7 earned runs on 8 hits in the last one over 4 innings to the Angels. That was the game where the Angels exploded. That's right. 4 strikeouts. He gave up 4 home runs to the Angels. That's not going to happen every day, but this ballpark does work against pitchers for home run upside, and there are some hard hitters on the Red Sox lineup. A lot of lefty bats there as well. So maybe not the day to chase Littell shares. The start before that, he went 7, but he gave up 5 earned, gave up a home run, struck out 3, and walked 2 against the Rangers. Good start came against the Rockies, 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, just 1 earned run allowed. He was decent last year. 21.5% strikeouts against a very low 4.7% walk, 3.63 ERA, but a 4.01 xFIP. But you can see he's betrayed by the stuff plus numbers, getting away with an 11.1% swinging on that kind of stuff while giving up this many barrels. Got pretty lucky to keep home runs where they were. So I think there's probably more downside and more reason to just target him with Red Sox bats in an appealing ballpark. 4.24 implied total feels a little low for the Sox too. Jarren Duran hit his first home run of the season yesterday. We had him as the Red Sox home run pick for that one. Was good on a night where we missed the main. The main was what? Kerry Carpenter didn't get there. Tigers in general didn't get there. But Jarren Duran got there, 52-36. He's off to a slow start, but he is a good player, and I definitely think there's signs in the barrels and hard hits at 12-1 and 51-7 that we are about to see a big surge. Get him while he's affordable at 52-36. That price will probably be a couple $100 higher. 48-35 for Rafi Devers. Still cheap on DraftKings at that price. 15.6% barrel, 60% hard hits. Just ignore the slow start in the slash line. 327 xWOB was fine. 1 home run on the board. Focus on the quality of contact, the numbers that we know Rafi Devers is going to have at the end of the season. 10 plus in the home run model. Plenty to like. Trevor Story, 42-30,000. Speaking of things to like, that shortstop price on DraftKings is cheap. Bolting him onto that 3-man right there makes that $4,700 a piece for Duran and Devers. And honestly, I don't mind paying $47 for Trevor Story. If you include Willie Abreu, that is Willier's price. And then you could grab, say, Tristan Casas at $34 if you want to stretch to a 5-man. Now I'm at a $4,400 60-man average. And you get even cheaper than that if you needed to. Stories at 311, 329, 459, 321 xWOB. His creator runs 23% better than average. 3 homers, 6 steals on the season. Excellent contact so far. A lot to like about Trevor Story's start. Knock on wood, he stays healthy. I mean, not for the Red Sox. I'm not rooting for them, but like as a DFS option. And just for the career, I'd like to see another healthy season out of him. Abreu at just 47-31. He's off to a 310, 437, 534 start, 224 ISO, a 397 xWOBA, 3 home runs, 2 steals, making killer contact at 12.2% barrels, 53.7% hard hits. And we're throwing him at this pitcher in this ballpark with that right field porch. I don't know what the weather's like down there today, but if it's warm at all, the ball's going to be flying. The run lines would suggest it is. It is in the 80s right now, dipping into the 70s around game time. Definitely warm enough for the ball to sail in this park. Love the upside for all lefties in the Red Sox lineup for power upside here. And definitely Willie Abreu with his quality of contact skills is really interesting. Romy Gonzalez, just kind of a mix and match talent in the middle of the lineup at 35-27. He's off to an okay start over 21. Last year, he hit 6 home runs, stole 11 bases, and had a decent triple slash over 216. But that's who he is. He's a part-time infielder. Tristan Casas, major upside for power. 9.3% barrels, just 34.9% hard hits. Underperforming his numbers in that department from the last few seasons. That's part of why he's at 180, 242, 279. That's why the xWOB is off the mark. That's why he's only got 1 home run. That's why everything looks a little wonky so far. That's also why he's only at 34.27 price-wise. 8.34 in the home run model. Have faith. The barrels, the hard hits, the home runs are going to come. 27 for Carlos Narvaez, nothing more than a mix and match catcher. David Hamilton at 21 is cheap. He can help you average down the other prices as non-critical spot at second base on either site. And then Ceddanne Rafaela can give you the occasional counting stat, but is off to a bad start and was not overly good last year outside of 15 homers and 19 steals. If you're going to Rays, Johnny Diaz is a priority at 41-27. He's got 3 home runs, not getting on base like he normally does, not providing good quality across the slash line like he normally does. All that's going to come around. 9.8% barrels, 52.5% hard hits. Both are up from his already excellent numbers over the last couple of seasons in this year's small sample. He'll be perfectly fine, and he's cheap against this pitcher. Right-handed bat, too. Curtis Mead at 34-24, off to a bad start at 303 xWOBA, just a 60 WRC plus. In a small sample last year, over 132, he didn't do much. 92 plate appearances the year before, he was all right. Created runs 5% worse than average, hit 253 in that tiny sample. We just haven't seen a lot of them so far, but the pedigree is real. It's a great spot in the lineup. He's very affordable. You pop him at second base on FanDuel, you're fine. First and third is not ideal on the DraftKings slate, but he's playable because he's cheap. Junior Caminero is a real talent. You don't want to pop, and that's another problem with Mead here, because you've got first base there that you want and third base as your top 2 priority positions in this lineup. So you probably say no thank you to Mead on DK most of the time, because you want Caminero, 11% barrels, 46.7% hard hits, 4 homers on the board. He's just getting started. 241 ISO, 336 xWOBA. Kid is a burgeoning star. Chris Morel, love the premium contact, love the swing, 18.5% barrels. He's got a homer on the board this year, 292, 370, 417, couple productive days in a row, 363 xWOBA with a 137 WRC plus. Really like the bat. I hope he's in the lineup regularly. I think we'll get, as long as the frequency of contact is there, I think we get a big home run total from him when it's all said and done. Jose Caballero, quality for a little bit of on-base skill, a little bit of a hit tool, and definitely speed. For 5 stolen bases, a 455 on base, 335 xWOBA is pretty good as well. Hit a big home run on a day where I said he wasn't much of a bat. Danny Jansen at 33-24, nothing more than a mix-in catcher. Coco Montes, just cheap. Jake Magnum, I already talked about, not a major leaguer. This is a bad price. This is playable over here. And then Taylor Walls, a little bit of speed, mix and match quality in the infield. This goes. Got to go Rays bats up top. Much as I greatly prefer the talent in the Red Sox lineup, and it's not a bad matchup for them, with that much disparity in Vegas, I think we have to go that way. So I'll go Rays bats, Red Sox bats. And in truth, it's neither pitcher, but if you have to roster a pitcher from this game, do it with Zach Littell. Wind's blowing out to right in Yankee Stadium. That's a bonus for the Yankees bats. That's a bonus for Aaron Judge. It's a downgrade for Chris Bubich. Not a good spot for Chris Bubich, I'm telling you. Oh, we're on that game too. How about that? Let me grab that confirm Yankees lineup. Goldie in the leadoff spot. No Ben Rice against the lefty. Not a surprise. Leadoff Goldie's been interesting. 391 on base with a 400 xWOBA to start his season, slashing 349, 391, 476, 149 WRC plus, looking like the old MVP Paul Goldschmidt. Just 1 home run on the board, but as long as he keeps doing all that stuff, he not only justifies being in the leadoff role, but he's going to be super valuable to this team. Love getting him ahead of Aaron Judge, but Aaron Boone doesn't know what he's doing, so we move Judgy back down to the 3 spot. He should be hitting second every day, but that's fine. Cody Bellinger can hit second despite going 180, 241, 280 to start his season. A 285 xWOBA. He's dramatically underperforming his talent. Good lefty bat, 5,000. A little bit high priced for the underperformance so far. The DK pricing really doesn't make sense, with Goldie off to a very good start and Belly off to a very bad start. And those guys being essentially equivalent type players coming into the season, doesn't really make sense that there's a $600 disparity in Belly's favor on DK. FanDuel also got it wrong by $300, but it's at least closer. I really don't understand how they arrived at those prices, especially lefty here for Cody Bellinger. Weird. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge, 15.15 second in the home run model, I believe. 6 on the board. Love the upside for a homer from Aaron Judge against this pitcher. So far this season, Bubich allowing an 11.1 degree average launch. Last year in the small sample, 3 degrees. Again, we're going back way in time. 10.7 degrees and a 7.8% barrel a few years ago. 3.07% home run rate. But with these fly balls and that barrel rate, 44.9% hard hits and 90 miles an hour of exit velo on average, doesn't exactly equal a 3% home run rate most of the time. You're going 4+. It's a gettable pitcher. Aaron Judge home run. I was very tempted to make him the pick of the day, but I barely ever use him because it seems like cheating. Jazz Chisholm, 55-33, should be warming back up with the warming weather. 6 home runs, 4 steals on the board. 346 xWOBA is the thing to focus on there with Jazz. Just ignore the 167, 247, 470. The 104 WRC plus is also nice. The 22% barrels and 43.9% hard hits are excellent. Anthony Volpe is a mix and match quality shortstop who will occasionally drive the ball, is underwhelming in a lot of ways around that. Strikes out too much. This year he's drawing some walks. 14% barrels is very encouraging. 4 home runs on the board. Overall, 217, 324, 467, a 330 xWOBA, 128 WRC plus. He's all over the map. He's playable. I don't like that DraftKings price at 48. 33 is around the same on FanDuel. You do mix him into Yankee stacks, but you don't go out of your way for him, in my opinion. Austin Wells at 4,000 is interesting. Even lefty here. Love the upside for barrels. Love the upside for hard hits and home runs. 3 on the board so far this season. If we expect the Yankees to get to Chris Bubich here, which I certainly do, you can see righties out of the pen pretty quickly. So I don't discount the lefty here all that much. Trent Grisham, 3,900, 2,800. Less appealing than his 343, 425, 714, 404 xWOBA start to the season would suggest. 4 home runs in 40 plate appearances. None of that's going to hold, but he's been mashing the ball to start the year. You can mix him in for cheap at 39.28 against a mediocre lefty. Justin Dominguez, 4,200, 2,700. Few key hits in his last few games is encouraging. Up to 275, 362, 431 also encouraging. Just 1 homer, 2 steals. The power hasn't really come around, but we expect to see it. Double-digit barrel rates in small samples each of the last 2 seasons. Oswald Peraza, mixer. He's got a decent barrel rate, decent hard hit rate to start his year. Hasn't seen much results from it, but at least he's getting opportunities. I want them to keep giving this kid shots at third base because A, they don't really have a third baseman, and B, he once upon a time was one of their more highly regarded prospects. So this is at least encouraging while none of this is. Clark Schmidt, I don't think you're getting the innings. The first start of the year, he's been hurt. You saw him in the minors. He went 4, faced 14 hitters, allowed 3 hits, struck out 4, struck out 7 in a rehab start before that, over 3 1/3, faced 13 hitters. I give him 5. I don't think we're getting much more than that here. And this is a good low strikeout Royals team. Ignore that 30%. That's not the real number. You take the top of the lineup there, even with that 27 so far from Sal, that's an 18.1% strikeout rate over those first 5 hitters. If you take those same guys from last year, that's a 16.7. That's the real number for this team. So not a good opportunity to roster pitching on the Yankee side, and I'm just not a believer in Bubich. The stuff, again, 0.96 ERA to start his season, a 2.95 xFIP, and very proud of him. Good with the strikeouts so far, 6.6% walks. The swinging strikes have been really encouraging, and you can get this Yankees team that way. There are definitely Ks here in this Yankees lineup. So I'm not saying Chris Bubich can't succeed here. I'm definitely saying that I'm not interested in him at 10-2 on FanDuel, though. 8-4 on DraftKings, I think, is playable, but I definitely think the Yankees expose him here. I really do. I definitely think the Yankees expose him here. I really do. But he's playable over here. I don't think he's playable at that price. If you're looking at the Royals bats, I think they're very playable with their 371 implied total. Schmidt is good, but not put away good. Last year, 26.3% Ks, but an 8.5% walk rate in his 85 innings in the show. 2.85 ERA, but a 3.92 xFIP. Has good stuff. Didn't allow too many home runs. Didn't allow too much power. Induced a good swinging strike rate. But we're only getting him for half a game, and then we're getting into 2 innings of a long man before we get to the Luke Weavers of the world. So there's opportunity here for the low strikeout Royals, and their lineup is excellent. Bobby Witt's a superstar, one of the best players in baseball. 2 homers, 5 steals on the board this year. A 4.36 xWOBA to start his season, creating runs 50% better than average, while barreling the ball 12.5% of the time, coming away with a 55% hard hit rate, barely striking out. India is an on-base machine. 328 so far this season. That'll go up from here. 346 xWOBA, was excellent at getting on base last season. Even if he's at 328, that's an improvement for this team year over year. Love the option, bolting him on at third base where the outfield for 4,000 works. I greatly prefer him at second base for 2,800 on FanDuel, though. Vinny Pasquantino, I'm a big believer in. Slow start to the year. I talked about him, what he was saying on Central either yesterday or the day before about the increase in his swing speed has actually thrown his swing a little bit off kilter. I totally buy what he was saying. Makes a ton of sense to me. I think it comes around. I think he gets it figured out. Masher of baseballs just belongs in stacks at 43, 3,000. He's way underpriced against this pitcher in this ballpark with the wind blowing out to right. Sal Perez at 41, 28, 7.59 in the home run mall. He's got a pair of homers on the board this year. Sal is a major source of power at the catcher position. Slow start in terms of the baseball card numbers. 389 xwOBA is the thing to focus on there. 16.7% barrels and 47.9% hard hits. Sal is mashing right now. He just hasn't seen the results for it. Michael Garcia off to a very good, encouraging start. 276, 295 doesn't really tell you the story. 335 xwOBA, 107 WRC plus. Not really striking out, not really drawing walks. Mashing the ball at 57.4% hard hits. Still cheap at 4,400 at second base, 2,800 at second base. Has a lot of speed upside. I expect power to come through this year. MJ Melendez, 11% barrels so far this season. Nowhere near a consistent ball player in the major leagues. One home run on the board, .9093, 188, 186 start to his season, a 233 xwOBA, pretty bad. 17 homers last year over 451, 16 over 602 2 years ago. Before that, led the minor leagues for an entire season with 40-something home runs, as they reminded me on the Yankees broadcast the other day. I've always liked MJ's ability to make contact. You can see the premium contact over the last few years. He's just never fully gotten there as a major leaguer. But the power threat on any given slate is definitely real. In this ballpark, it's enhanced. Drew Waters, Tyler Tolbert, and Kyle Isbell are all mix and match options going down the board. This goes Yankees bats. Chris Bubich on DraftKings. I'll give it a Royals bats. No Clark Schmidt. And no Chris Bubich on FanDuel at 10-2. Powers betting against the Yanks going 13% Bubich. Fair. Look, the strikes are the problem with Bubich. He is at least in the small sample that we've had over the last year plus, he is a high swinging strike, fairly high, fairly solid strikeout pitcher. Can get problematic against the Yankees, as we know. But I just love the premium contact upside. I love some of those righties in that Yankees lineup. I just think they ruined Chris Bubich here. Yeah, I appreciate it, Larry. Larry says I didn't want to sidetrack with nonsense today. Yeah, we got three games to get through. Still 13 minutes before 6 o'clock. We'll be done ahead of lock. I'll have time to build my lineups, but let's keep on rolling here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'm doing a lot of quick talking and trying to get us through as quick as we can. Fortunately, we do not need to discuss Jonathan Cannon as an option. 14 innings, 21% strikeouts, 13% walks, 5+ xFIP, 4+% home run rate with all that premium contact. It is looking like another potentially juicy day for these Athletics. I almost said Oakland Athletics. These Athletics, just the Athletics this year. Let's see if we have the confirmed. We do. Excellent. Lawrence Butler is at the top. Brent Rooker is in the 2 spot. Tyler Soderstrom is in the 3 spot. How about Tyler Soderstrom, huh, gang? I won't take up our time lamenting not having him, but who told you day one that this kid was going to mash this year? 8 home runs on the board, a 406 ISO, 434 xwOBA. In my wildest expectations, I wasn't expecting this hot a start, but I really like the bat from the left side in an ongoing sense. 19.6% barrels, 49% hard hits. He's at 9.63 in the home run model. When we get the update in the back end, that'll go up. If it had been done already, it would be up. I don't usually do that this early. I'm not gonna, but I'm telling you, there's even more juice there than what we're seeing in the model. 4 homers on the board for Brent Rooker and a slow start. Otherwise, the 379 xwOBA, the 205 ISO are what to focus on there. Don't sweat the slow start in the average and on base department. It'll all come around. Premium contacts right around where it belongs. Lawrence Butler at 11.8% barrels and 49% hard hits is excellent to start this lineup. He's at 295, 403, 410 to start his season with a 360 xwOBA. This A's team is just flat good, at least at the top of the lineup, and they've got more help on the way. This is a really interesting team. It is a crime that they took this team out of the Oakland area right when they're getting interesting. Need a lot of help pitching-wise, but this is an interesting squad offensively. Shea Langoliers, tons of barrels, tons of hard hits each of the last few seasons. A lot of oddball home runs. He's got 4 on the season already. 387 xwOBA. He hit 29 last year, including a lot, several days of 2 home run days that were DFS late breakers when he does it. 10+ in the home run model today for him. 12+ for Rooker. Look at this little pocket of power right there. Those 4 hitters average a 10.48 in the home run model today. then JJ Bleday, solid mixer from the left side, 4,000, 2,500. So far, 190, 294, 276 isn't overwhelming anybody. 265 XWOB was also not encouraging. Hit 20 home runs over 642 last year. Created runs 20% better than average. 194 ISO. For the prices that they're asking for him, for 4,000, for 25 on FanDuel, 6.86 in the home run model. That's an appealing bat. 45.7% hard hit so far this year. Low strikeout rate at 19.1. Draws his walks at 13.2. Last year, 19.5, 10.4. Miguel Andujar, good hit tool. 264, 310, 340 to start the season. Very average 312 xWOBA. There's not a ton under the surface here, but I think to mix in for 25, for 35 in the outfield, he's perfectly serviceable for a few shares. Luis Urias, did not really realize he was on this team. One home run on the board, 308, 375, 538, 231 start to his season. That's kind of interesting from a guy who once upon a time hit a few homers, didn't he? Yeah, 16 home runs all the way back in 2022 and 472 plate appearances. Had a 165 ISO that year. Created runs 10% better than average. Not exactly somebody to go out of your way for, but if you build 30 A stacks, you want to remember that he's there at least. Gio Urshela and this Max Muncy. Oh, changed when I dropped the... One day they'll actually fix that. This Max Muncy, 29 at second base on DK, 21 shortstop and second base. The stats aren't showing, but they're bad so far. He's at best a mix and match guy. The White Sox. I continue to think we're not playing White Sox guys, even against Osvaldo Bido, and part of that is because Osvaldo Bido is actually kind of decent. He's good at keeping the ball, he's good at missing barrels. He's not good at keeping the ball down. He does allow fly balls, but he somehow gets away with 27% hard hits, 85 miles an hour of exit velo, 4% barrels last year, just a 1.16% home run rate, 102 mark by Stuff Plus. The year before in 50 innings was kind of similar. Maybe it's just small sample. We haven't seen a ton of this pitcher, but over 100 plus innings over the last 2 years, 18 starts, he's been well under 2% home runs. This year wasn't overly effective in terms of the ERA, the XFIP along with that, but last year was all right in the ERA department. The XFIP is the real number at 4.6, but along with that ability to check home run power, he strikes guys out. 24.3% last year. The year before, only 20%, 8.8% swinging, but an uptick to an 11.4% swinging last year. Kept guys off the base pass at 109 whip despite a 10% walk rate. I think he's a talented enough guy. 12.4% swinging to start his year this year, 3.0 ERA, but a 4.93 XFIP. He's doing similar things as far as fly balls, not allowing barrels, not allowing hard hits. Exit velo's up somewhat, but hasn't allowed a homer. Against this White Sox squad, that's more than enough to get us through. I don't think he's somebody to really go crazy for, but at 72, that's a serviceable SP2 on DraftKings. 8,000 on FanDuel, he does project out like an $8,000 pitcher. You got to get him through 6, which he hasn't done in these first few starts. It's been exactly 5 in each of those. 3 starts, 15 innings, literally exactly 5 innings each. 5 Ks, 5 Ks, 4 Ks, 2 runs, 1 run, handful of hits. Against the worst team in baseball, he's at least viable. I don't think we go here because of the lack of quality start and the depth of the overall board. But here, it's playable as an SP2. If you go White Sox bats, you prioritize Lou Bob. 3,800, 2,900 is just too cheap. 1 home run on the board, 6 stolen bases. He's miserable playing in Chicago right now. You can't really blame him with this lineup around him. The next most interesting bat is probably Chase Meadroth, who I talked about yesterday. Just an incredibly patient hitter and draws his walks, doesn't really strike out, puts good bat on ball. He's just going to be there for batting average, on base skills, and run scoring. So he's more a correlated scoring piece that belongs up here instead of Miguel Vargas, Nick Maton, et cetera, et cetera. And then your third man is Andrew Vaughn. It's a 3-man stack with Robert Vaughn and Chase Meadroth. Everybody else is ancillary at best. You don't have much power appeal here. You don't have much skill here. A couple of 300 and 260 type averages down lineup. Brooks Baldwin might put a little bit of quality bat on ball in terms of the hit tool, but there's no power appeal. Lenyn Sosa, same deal, without the appeal of the hit tool. Palacios, Maton and Vargas, Omar Narvaez. There's nothing here. This is a highly skippable team. 3.40 in your Vegas total tells you all you need to know. This goes very firmly. A's bats, no Whites. A's bats, Osvaldo Bido on DraftKings, no White Sox. And Bido is borderline. I do think that at least so far, that park is definitely played up for power. We'll see what it looks like over the course of the full season. But it's worth pointing out to respond to that point that only 2 of his 8 home runs so far have come in that ballpark. The other 6 have been on the road. 2 in Chicago last night, 1 in Colorado, and 3 at Seattle over the first 4 games. That's why it took me a minute to respond to you there. I was pulling up the game log so I could cheat that answer. So, Soderstrom is very much for real. That is real power. He was a very highly regarded power prospect coming up, and I'm surprised it's been to this degree so far, like I said, but I'm a big believer. All right, let's blaze through these last 2 games. Patrick Corbin is not playable for DFS. He is a target for bats, period. Angels bats, one of the top priority stacks of the day. You can see the power with both Soler and Mike Trout well over the magic number for home runs. You've got Taylor Ward closing in on it at 9.88. You've got a very playable Luis Rengifo at 7.21. It's Travis d'Arnaud. I was going to say Logan O'Hoppe, but it's Travis d'Arnaud. Those guys are essentially the same bat in terms of the power, the premium contact. Ignore d'Arnaud's 091, 130, 091 start. Ignore the 240 xwOBA so far this season, the total lack of output. 12.5% barrels so far this year, 10.5% last year, 9% the year before with solid hard hit rates. Travis d'Arnaud is a starting quality catcher who's been a backup for most of his career for reasons, but whenever he's in the lineup, he's appealing for DFS because he can hit home runs. Down lineup, Nolan Schanuel at 37.29 is very affordable, given a 343 on base. A 290 xwOBA is not really in line with his quality. 279, 343, 459 to start his year, creating runs 28% better than average. 2 home runs on the board, kind of backing up what he did last year. He's low strikeout, draws his walks. Excellent at getting on base, probably belongs up toward the top of the lineup. Like I said yesterday, I'd have him hitting up 1-2 and drop Luis Rengifo down, but what do I know? Kyron Paris for 4,3600. The price is way up on FanDuel. It's way cheap on DraftKings still. 5 home runs, 5 steals, a 420 xwOBA. It's getting difficult to argue with the production so far. 366, 458, 805. It's obviously not going to hold at that level. He's not going to be 155% better than average creating runs all year, but he's off to a great start, barreling the ball like crazy, hard hits like crazy. Who told you that they love Joe Adell's swing coming into this year, that Joe Adell's going to have a underappreciated spike? 15.2% barrels, 54.5% hard hits so far in a limited number of batted ball events. It's resulted in a pair of home runs, just 200, 265, 356. We got a long way to go, but the xwOBA tells me that we're getting there. 376 xwOBA to start his year, just needs to keep doing what he's doing. More consistent bat on ball would be great. I've highlighted this a few times, a completely unappreciated 20 home runs and 15 steals and 451 last year. The talent is real. He's never going to be a consistent bat. He's always going to put some zeros in your lineup more often than you'd like, but you're going to have some big days out of Joe Adell this year, and he's looking like today might be one of them against one of the most gettable lefties for home run power over the last, 5 seasons. I kind of blazed through Trout and Soler because they're just super obvious. Both of these guys are mashing so far this season in terms of making contact. The starts are, up and down overall. Soler's off to a pretty decent one with 4 home runs and a good slash line. Trout, the slash line isn't where we want it, but it's Mike Trout. Don't sweat it. 6 home runs and 400 xwOBA, and health is all we want out of Mike Trout. Those are your top 2 priorities, and then you bolt on really anybody that's not named Kevin Newman from this lineup is pretty appealing here. There's good arguments to be made for anybody else in this lineup. They're not expensive. Very, very appealing spot for the Angels. The Rangers against Jose Soriano. I question the 4.52 implied total. Seems a little high against a pitcher who is pretty good. 2.70 ERA, a 3.04 xFIP so far, striking out 24.3% with an 11.3% swinging strike rate, 28.9% CSW, a really juicy fastball in the upper 90s, and some excellent ancillary pitches to go with it. 10.4% barrels is concerning, but not when you get a negative 0.8 degree average launch overall. 43.8% hard hits, 91.9 miles an hour of exit velo. So the barrels have come on just a couple of mistakes. You are seeing some uptick for power around Corey Seager, around Jock Peterson, who succeeds against righties. Adolis Garcia not far off the mark. And then we've got very usable parts in Josh Young, Marcus Semien. So I don't think Soriano knocks the Rangers off the board, but I don't think they're quite as appealing as that total might suggest. They're very cheap, though. So for DFS purposes, they do make some things work. So I think it's a both-sided equation. You can go here, more appealing at 88 on DraftKings, and you can go here for some bats. I just don't know how much the home run upside is really going to be real against Soriano here. Marcus Semien at 38-28 has been bad to start his year. Even you can't even find anything in like the xWOBA and the contact numbers. We're just focused on maybe the low strikeouts still. It's not like he's up there flailing. We've just seen poor results so far, but it was a decline last year, and it's continued so far this year. It's getting concerning. 47-31 for Corey Seager is very cheap. 31 is ludicrous on FanDuel. 3 home runs on the board, 255, 317, 436 start, 340 xWOBA, creating runs 19% better than average. Major home run upside against Jose Soriano for that individual player. Not a bad consideration as a one-off. If you're fishing around with some money in your pocket at shortstop, it's not bad. Jock as a one-off or as a priority if you're stacking, Rangers at 31-25 is very affordable for the power. He's been absent over 50 plate appearances so far this year. Even in the xWOBA department, we're at 216. He's barely made contact this year over 50 plate appearances. .070, 184, .093 and negative. He's been 110% worse than average creating runs. Last year in 449 plate appearances, dude hit 23 home runs, 240 ISO. He's always mashed right-handed pitching. Just have faith. I mean, the home run number is there, but it's a concerning start. Adolis Garcia is off to a good start in terms of his premium contact numbers, 9.31 on the home run model. He's also really cheap for his talent at 44.32. 2 home runs, 200, 302, 382. He's underperformed the contact that he's made, but the xWOBA suggests that's all going to come around. That jibes completely with the premium contact. So just getting a little bit unlucky. The counting stats have been good. The 102 WRC plus is appealing. Josh Young is an excellent right-handed bat with some upside for power. 1 home run on the board, 387, 387, 645 to start his year. 198 WRC plus. Missed a ton of time last year, but 2 years ago, pretty good. 23 home runs, over 515 plate appearances. Didn't mean to do that. I think I had the control window or something. Dustin Harris, 25-26. You're getting mix and match quality there. He's got a home run in his 4 plate appearances. Jake Berger definitely has power upside, 2 home runs on the board, but has been limited overall this season in 55 very small sample plate appearances. I think you just continue to focus on the premium contact with Jake Berger and know that the home runs will arrive eventually. 275 xWOBA, not exactly encouraging though. Jonah Heim, Leody Taveras, playable parts at the bottom of the Rangers lineup. This goes Angels, Rangers, Jose Soriano. Do not play Patrick Corbin unless you got a death wish. I thought the TV was fritzing out when I blew up the page there. Yeah, my bad. Rocks, Dodgers, see if we got these lineups. Nope. This game's offset by like 2 hours at the end of the night, which is going to change things. Like everybody's going to be like, I'm going to win. And then nope, you're not, because the Dodgers are going to mash against German Marquez at the end of the night. 5.49 is your highest implied total in Vegas. It's the Dodgers. Don't overthink it. They're very expensive. They're well worth it, even against a formerly talented pitcher. And Marquez was always the case of, we want to get him to like St. Louis, like I said the other day, get him out of Coors and see what he can give us. 5.0 ERA, 4.02 xFIP with a 19% strikeout rate the last time he was at all relevant, 10% swinging strike rate that year, but allowed way too much of everything and has been injured and super gettable since. So far this year, 14.9% Ks in his 3 starts, his 15 2/3, 4.60 ERA. Hasn't given up a homer yet, I guess you can focus on. Hasn't given up too many barrels, but plenty of hard hits. I like these Dodgers to put a home run on the board today. Shohei Ohtani at 15.6 in the home run model. Mookie at 9.4. You get Teoscar at 9.8. Further down the lineup, you get original recipe Max Muncy at 7.82, despite not hitting one so far this season. Tommy Edman with the 6 he's hit so far in Dodger Blue this year, and the 5 he hit in Dodger Blue last year. The 4.12 xWOBA is inexplicable, but he's very playable at 46 in your outfield, 33 to help average things down with 3 positions on FanDuel. Also, second base eligibility is appealing for him on DraftKings. These guys are obvious. They're superstars. Freddie Freeman at 51, honestly, a little bit affordable. 37 for him on FanDuel is appropriate. 38 for Teoscar is appropriate, but he's also kind of affordable on DraftKings. They're trying to make it so you can at least grab the middle of this lineup. And there's no reason, honestly, you couldn't just... If you 5-man that against this pitcher or work Max Muncy into it, whatever you want, you're 4,700 a man. That's easily workable. Tons of upside for the Dodgers. 3,026 for Andy Pajes if he's at the bottom of the lineup. He's still playable. That's a cheap way to help average things down. The power upside that we saw last year was real. What do you have, 11? 13. 13 in 443 plate appearances, a 159 ISO, was right at league average creating runs as a rookie. There's upside there. Hit a lot of home runs in the minors. Interesting piece on the mound for the Dodgers. I don't think we're getting enough on Bobby Miller innings-wise to even really realistically chase a quality start, but he's only 6,300 on FanDuel. So I don't know that we even need the quality start. This is a 5-inning projection on Bobby Miller. He's excellent for strikeout stuff. This is his debut start for the season. He was working in the minors rehabbing. 3 minor league appearances, 2 1/3 in the most recent start. It was just kind of a prep start, I think. 4 strikeouts, walked 3, and then came out of the game. 2 hits allowed, but no runs. Did go 5, faced 23 hitters in the middle start against the Padres affiliate. That was on April 6th. So I think that one was like the get him fully engaged, get him fully stretched out start. He struck out 3. He walked 6 in that one. He allowed a home run and gave up 3 earned runs on 2 hits. The first game was clean, struck out 4 in that one over 4 2/3, faced 17 hitters against Houston's affiliate. Got injured in spring, but as long as we're getting 5, given the downside for the Rockies, and Vegas likes it as well with them at 3.15, given the 30% strikeout rate in this projected version of the lineup, that includes the 50 there. But if we take that out, we're still at, with relative plate appearances, we're still at 27.5. There's a lot of Ks here. So Miller could come out in a 5-inning start and put up around 30 FanDuel points. If you happen to somehow get that 6th inning and get that quality start, then so much the better. But I think he's on the board here, oddly, even without the quality start in his pocket. At 77, there's enough there. You don't need the quality start, obviously, on DraftKings. There's enough strikeout upside, but it's not like he's crazy super discounted. It's a good price. It's not a great price for 5 innings. But the kid has the stuff to dominate this team. If you're playing Rockies, probably a mistake. This doesn't really look like the day. You are seeing a little bit of power around these 3 hitters, these 4 hitters really. Maybe a little bit for Ezekiel Tovar up at the top, but they're not showing as much power as they were yesterday when I don't remember them doing anything interesting. But like if I'm going there, Hunter Goodman, Michael Talia are my priorities. Tovar is at least playable because he's really cheap and he does have true power upside. 33.29 for a cheap shortstop with power is playable. Nick Martini is not that interesting. Lefty bat, I guess, gives you a little bit of upside. There is a tiny amount of power there. Kyle Farmer is probably more interesting at 23 with second base eligibility on both sides, but he's just a functional piece, cog in the machine type guy. The true appeal is the power upside from these two, and then the interesting bat of Mickey Moniak. 7.80 in the home run model today. He's got 1 on the board, 222, 300, 417 starting his Rocky career, but a 354 xWOBA plays. The numbers that he put up with the Angels over the last couple seasons play in, whatever the samples were. 11.1% barrels, 51.9% hard hits. He's at least interesting. If I'm rostering Rockies, I would consider at least 3-manning that. The hope is that they end up hitting up here in the confirmed lineup. But that's where I think you go Rockies-wise. So we're not rostering German Marquez. We are at least considering some Bobby Miller shares. We're prioritizing the Dodgers however we can afford them, regardless of popularity. Popularity be damned. And then the Rockies bats are really not in play. This easily goes Dodgers bats, Bobby Miller, Rockies bats, but not really. And no German Marquez. And with that, you guys, that's going to be the end of the slate. Dodgers just came in. Lab has Will Smith in. Nope. I think they changed it since you saw Cubs. They got Austin Barnes in there now. That's your Dodger lineup. I'll get that up on the site in the next couple of minutes, gang. Hockey projections are already live. Basketball projections are already live. I'll keep updating everything for hoops as we get the confirmed lineups and any changes or anything. A couple of questionable players tonight, but I expect everybody who's projected is going to actually take the floor. We saw a uptick major minutes in the NBA last night, which is nice. More predictable rotations equals a much easier task on my end, at least, which is fun. What else? Yeah, updates for this are going up in the next couple of minutes. Keep an eye on the website, rotoscouts.com. Everything's under $1 a day for access to all 3 of those sports right now. Anything else that hits the website included for the same price going forward. Check out acemind.io. Promo code rotoscouts in all in caps, 20% off your first month. Other than that, guys, good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something, share a screenshot when you do, and we will see you tomorrow for more of this. Later, gang.